Welcome to the deep dive. We are really thrilled to have you with us today.
Yeah, we really are. And we've got a great one for you today.
We do, because, when you want to understand the mechanics of the world, the instinct is usually to zoom out.
Right. You look for the big picture.
Exactly. We look for those sweeping overviews or, massive books on global economics or broad analyses of international relations.
Oh, the macro stuff.
Yeah, the macro stuff. But our mission for this deep dive is going in the exact opposite direction.
Completely opposite.
Today, we're going to explore how a highly specific, seemingly obscure single-source document can actually map out a massive interconnected global web right beneath our feet.
It's kind of wild when you think about it.
It is. We're looking at how putting a single data point under a microscope can sometimes give you the clearest view of the entire horizon.
It's a really compelling approach. And honestly, it's one we often overlook.
We really do.
Because we tend to underestimate the sheer density of hyper-specific information. You know, when you understand how to read the structural connections within a single document, one isolated data point functions like a thread.
A thread that you just start pulling.
Exactly. Pull that thread, and you suddenly find yourself unraveling a much larger operational blueprint of how international systems actually function on a daily basis.
And the thread we are pulling today is literally just one Wikipedia page.
Just one.
Yeah, we aren't analyzing some broad page for globalization or the history of international trade. Our sole source today is the Wikipedia article for the Pietro della Valle Italian School.
Which sounds so niche at first glance.
It totally does. We're looking at a single building, a single institution. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
To start, we need to ground ourselves in the physical space the page describes, and we actually have the precise location for you.
Very precise.
Yeah, this school sits in Farmani, which is a district in Shamiran over in Tehran, Iran. And the exact address is Levasani Avenue number 47. The page even provides the exact geographic coordinates.
I love that detail.
Right. If you plugged 35 degrees, 48 minutes, over 3 seconds north, and 51 degrees, 27 minutes, 56 seconds east into your mapping software right now, you would be looking directly at its front doors.
And establishing that physical footprint is crucial before we look at the broader implications. You have this very specific pinpoint on the map in a major Middle Eastern capital. But right away, the source gives us a structural detail that reframes the scope of what actually happens inside that building.
Oh, you mean the age ranges?
Yeah. If you look at the basic information box, the quick facts on the side of the page, the school is officially categorized as a senior high school.
Right. It just says senior high school.
But however, when you read through the actual text, it details that the institution offers courses all the way from kindergarten through senior high school.
That is a massive distinction.
It really is.
Because it isn't just a place where expatriate teenagers drop in for a few years of high school before moving on.
Not at all. It functions as a complete educational ecosystem. You're looking at a microcommunity where a child could potentially spend their entire formative upbringing.
Wow, yeah.
From their very first days of kindergarten all the way to their high school graduation, all within this highly specific cultural environment located on Levasani Avenue.
Just a completely immersive experience.
Exactly. It's an immersive long-term infrastructure. It's not just a passing fee of transient education.
That ecosystem idea is really the perfect lens for the next detail, because it isn't just about the age range of the students.
Right.
It's about the mechanics of what they're actually learning and how that learning is validated. The source explicitly mentions that the school offers Italian language courses based on CEFAR and CIS.
Yes.
Now, for anyone listening who hasn't had to navigate European language requirements recently, those are highly specific acronyms, and they carry a ton of bureaucratic weight.
They absolutely do. And what's fascinating here is that these aren't just your standard conversational language classes designed for casual use.
Right, like just learning how to order food or something.
Yeah, exactly. CEFR and CILS are formal, globally recognized regulatory benchmarks. So CEFR is the common European framework of reference for languages. That's the system that grades proficiency from A1, where you can maybe order a coffee, like you said, up to C2, where you're essentially fluent.
Right.
And then CILS is the official certification of Italian as a foreign language. By tethering their curriculum to these exact standards, this school in Tehran isn't just teaching Italian.
They're standardizing it.
Yes. They are officially standardizing language proficiency and locking their students into strict European academic frameworks.
It's essentially a portable European passport built directly into a curriculum.
That's a great way to put it.
Because if a student in Tehran passes those classes, their proficiency isn't just some arbitrary grade on a local report card. It's a credential that instantly holds weight across borders.
That is the key takeaway right there. It provides a highly formalized pathway. It ensures that the linguistic and cultural education happening in this specific district in Iran is universally recognized by universities, institutions, and governments back in Europe.
It just plugs right into their system.
Seamlessly. It's a structural tie that functions effortlessly across international borders, ensuring that the students remain fully compatible with the European system.
And that deliberate structural tie to Europe actually mirrors the digital structure of the Wikipedia page itself.
Oh, absolutely it does.
Because if you look at the background details of the page, it tells its own parallel story. The source shows that this article isn't just floating around in English.
Right.
It's actively available in 4 other specific languages. We've got Arabic, Persian, French, and Italian. And if you check the revision history at the very bottom, this English page was just updated on February 22, 2026.
And that digital footprint is extremely telling when you think about the labor required to actually maintain it.
People have to do that work.
Exactly. A Wikipedia page doesn't spontaneously translate itself across multiple linguistic boundaries, nor does it update itself.
No, it doesn't.
Real people have to care enough about this specific institution to monitor and maintain its digital presence. The fact that this page is actively maintained in Arabic, Persian, French, and Italian reflects the diverse, multilingual reality of the stakeholders involved.
It really paints a picture of who cares about this place.
It does. It shows you the overlapping communities, the diplomats, and the expatriates who are all invested in this single building.
The digital maintenance completely mirrors the real-world demographics.
Absolutely.
And if you drop down to the navigation templates at the footer of the page, that's where the scope of those demographics really comes into full focus.
The footer where the real secrets are.
Oh, for sure. Because there's a section laying out the broader context of other international schools currently operating in Tehran. It lists the active ones, and it is a remarkably dense network.
It really is.
You have the École Française, the German embassy school, the Kendriya Vidyalaya, which is the Indian one, the Tehran Japanese school, the Tehran Korean school, the Pakistan Embassy International School and College, and the Tehran International School.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we're analyzing is far more than just a directory of local educational options.
Yeah, so it's not just a phone book.
Right. This active network represents a highly functioning parallel web of global diplomacy.
Wow, yeah.
Each one of those schools, whether it's the French, the German, the Japanese, or the Indian institution, serves as a crucial logistical hub for expatriate life. They operate as cultural embassies in their own right.
Functioning simultaneously within Tehran.
Yes. It paints a picture of a city highly engaged with international communities across the globe, requiring dedicated infrastructure to support those specific populations.
It really changes how you visualize the city. You imagine this massive global intersection happening every single morning as families from Germany, Japan, France, and Pakistan are all navigating Tehran just to drop their kids off at these respective cultural hubs.
It's a logistical marvel, really.
But right below that active directory, the navigation box contains a contrasting section.
Yes, this part is fascinating.
The source includes a distinct list of defunct schools in Iran. These are institutions that previously operated but are now closed. And the names listed are the British School of Tehran, the Tehran American School, the Community School Iran Bethel School, the American School of Isfahan, and the Iran Zamin School.
That's quite a list.
It is. Looking at this defunct list, which is heavily populated by American and British institutions, it kind of reads like a ledger of severed diplomatic ties.
It does. And what's truly fascinating is how impartial the Wikipedia structure is about it.
Right. It doesn't offer commentary.
Exactly. The layout of the information becomes a historical artifact all on its own. We're simply observing 2 formatting blocks on a screen, one active, one defunct.
Yeah.
By placing the active schools from countries like France, Germany, and Japan immediately alongside a defunct list of Western institutions, the source provides a stark, impartial snapshot of shifting international footprints.
It's just raw data.
Yes. It doesn't offer a history lesson or take a political stance. It simply moves these institutions to a different formatting block. Just by observing which schools are open and which are closed, you get a clear structural reflection of geopolitical shifts over time.
It's a brilliant way to track historical change without even reading a history book.
It really is.
You can basically trace the tectonic plates of global relations purely through the lens of school closures. The presence or absence of a high school becomes a direct proxy for a country's diplomatic relationship with the host nation.
It's the ultimate demonstration of how cultural and educational institutions are deeply and inextricably intertwined with international relations. A school in this context is never just a school.
Right.
It's a localized representation of a foreign country's presence, an anchor for their expatriate workforce, and a reflection of current diplomatic realities. When the diplomacy shifts, the infrastructure reflects it immediately.
That makes perfect sense. But here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because the source doesn't just map out the international presence inside Iran. At the very bottom of the page, there's another massive navigation template.
The global one.
Yes. This one zooms all the way out and displays the global network of Italian international schools all over the world. Suddenly, our single school in Tehran is contextualized as just one node in a massive worldwide logistical network.
And this global template introduces its own highly specific bureaucratic classifications, which are critical for understanding how states actually manage their cultural exports.
Yeah, the terminology is very specific.
It is. The source breaks down the specific terminology used for these global institutions. It notes that schools with the word stale in their name are owned and operated directly by the Italian government.
So those are literally state-run assets physically planted on foreign soil.
Exactly. They are direct extensions of the state itself.
Okay.
The template then lists private schools operating internationally. But crucially, the source includes a very deliberate caveat. There are certain private schools marked with an asterisk.
The asterisk.
Yeah. That asterisk indicates that the school is not recognized by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs as an official Italian school.
The bureaucracy embedded in that tiny asterisk is just fascinating to me.
It carries so much weight.
It does. You have this Wikipedia page acting as a public ledger, meticulously categorizing which schools have the official blessing and oversight of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and which ones are essentially operating independently without that government stamp of approval.
Right.
It's literally just a punctuation mark, but it carries immense administrative weight.
It highlights the exact mechanics of cultural diplomacy and brand protection. Governments are fiercely protective of how their language, their culture, and their educational standards are exported.
They don't just let anyone use the brand.
Exactly. That asterisk represents a hard boundary line. It dictates what counts as an official sanctioned extension of the Italian state and what is merely an independent commercial or community venture. It shows that cultural export isn't passive. It's highly regulated.
And when you trace the geography of where these recognized and unrecognized schools are actually operating, it spans the entire globe.
It really does.
Based purely on the lists and the source, you see a massive established presence in North and South America. We're looking at institutions like the Scuola Italiana di Montevideo in Uruguay or the Colegio Agustin Codazzi in Colombia.
Signaling really deep historical ties there.
Yeah. Then the list jumps to Sub-Saharan Africa, featuring the Istituto Statale Italiano Omnicomprensivo in Addis Abeba. And then, of course, the Middle East and North Africa section, which houses the Pietro della Valle school that we started with today. They have planted these educational flags everywhere.
The geographic spread is remarkable, and it serves as a map of historical migration patterns, long-term diplomatic priorities, and the current distribution of expatriate communities.
It's like a living map.
Yes. Whether they were situated in South America or Sub-Saharan Africa, these institutions act as cultural anchors. They ensure that wherever Italian citizens or interests go, the structural framework of the Italian state follows, providing continuity for families and a persistent cultural footprint for the nation.
That mapping aspect brings up a detail tucked at the very bottom of the source material that is just uniquely brilliant.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, in its list of privately operated international schools, the page notes that the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs officially classifies Turkey as Europe.
I love this detail.
We know this because the Italian schools located in Istanbul appear firmly under the Europe category in the template. It's a highly specific bureaucratic classification that completely overrides standard physical geography.
It's a perfect example of how administrative logic actually operates. Bureaucratic classifications are uniquely revealing because they show how a government chooses to organize the world on paper.
Regardless of physical borders.
Exactly. Geographically and culturally, the categorization of Turkey has always been complex.
Sure.
But for the purely administrative purposes of managing its international schools, The Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has drawn a definitive line and decided that, logistically speaking, Istanbul is Europe.
Wow.
It demonstrates how bureaucratic systems often create their own unique internal geography just to streamline their operations.
They just build their own administrative reality and operate within it. It's totally fascinating.
It really is.
So we have covered incredible ground today. We started with the exact GPS coordinates of a single building in Tehran. We unpacked how European language benchmarks like CEFR function as portable passports. We looked at the shifting geopolitics hidden in plain sight within the active and defunct embassy school list. And we traced a highly regulated bureaucratic network of Italian schools from Montevideo to Istanbul.
That's quite a journey.
It is. So what does this all mean? Why should you listening to this right now care about this massive invisible web of international schools?
It's the core question of any deep dive, really. Why does this matter to you? Understanding the mechanics of these institutions is fundamentally about recognizing how culture and language are actively preserved, standardized, and exported on a global scale. If you are a professional preparing for a global business initiative, or simply a curious learner trying to make sense of international relations, realizing that nations actively plant these highly regulated educational roots in foreign soil gives you an entirely new framework.
It completely changes how you see things.
It reveals the hidden everyday infrastructure of our globalized world. A nation's geopolitical footprint isn't just measured in military bases or trade agreements.
Right. It's not just the big stuff.
No, it's measured in kindergartens, language labs, and high school curriculums. These institutions are the active functioning gears of diplomacy. They are actively shaping the minds that will eventually navigate cross-cultural business, international law, and global citizenship.
It completely shifts your perspective on how globalization actually functions. It isn't just an abstract concept debated in government halls. It's a practical, daily, logistical operation happening when a parent drops their kid off at a recognized statal school in a foreign capital.
This raises an important question, particularly regarding how we consume and filter information in our daily lives.
Okay.
We began this exploration with a simple, relatively brief Wikipedia page about a single building. Yet encoded within the structural layout of that page in the metadata, the defunct lists and the navigation templates at the footer, was the necessary data to map out an entire worldwide network of cultural diplomacy.
It's all just sitting right there.
Yes. It prompts us to look much closer at the everyday sources we interact with. The macro story, the true structural blueprint, is almost always hidden within the micro details, provided you take the time to read the connections, rather than just skimming the surface text.
That is a phenomenal takeaway. We miss so much of the actual mechanics of the world when we only scan for the main bullet points and ignore the structural framework holding those points together.
We really do.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to mull over today. We just spent this time mapping out the incredible, invisible global network radiating from one single Italian school in Tehran. It makes you wonder what unrecognized hidden networks of culture, language, and global infrastructure exist right now in your own city.
That's a great question.
What international systems are quietly shaping the next generation just down the street from where you live, operating entirely hidden in plain sight?
It's a powerful perspective shift. Once you understand how these networks operate, you start noticing the infrastructure of globalization everywhere you look.
You really do. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating intersection of geography, education, and global bureaucracy with us today. Keep looking closely at those micro details, keep pulling those threads, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.